On today's episode, Josh and I are here to discuss. Unfortunately, we're going to bring back Panic Button. Of course, it's been about 30 days. Find out here shortly who the team is. Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood and what we're calling the Rockets drama. Draymond's comments against the NBA regarding cancellations. We're going to talk a little bit of Bulls with our buddy from a couple of months ago we had on, Mr. Nick LaVere, creator of NABL. And he'll give us an update on NABL, where it's at and where his red hot Bulls are. I'm tired of saying red hot. I promise I will stop doing it. I promise everyone this is the last time. All that long-winded to be said. Trivia is also in this episode, of course. We're not going to do an episode without trivia. Looking forward to recording that one with Josh next.
Welcome back to the Two Pointers podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Trevor.
How you been, Trevor? How was your new year?
It was great. As you can probably tell by my voice, look, Happy New Year to me. New year, new voice. I'm excited. It was a lot of fun watching some very boring New Year's Six Bowls. That's not what we're here for, though. Had a great time enjoying with my friends and family. I'm trying to tie it to basketball in some way. Honest to goodness, I don't remember what I did other than really just I ate a lot of great food and watched a lot of mediocre college football. That's kind of where my weekend went. Very relaxing, prepared for today. Looking forward to the fun. What about you?
It was good. It's honestly kind of lazy, just to relax with family. Yeah, there wasn't. Watched a few Hornets games here and there, but not a ton on the basketball side. Kept rolling in fantasy basketball and really thriving on that end. Our Two Pointers podcast fantasy team, it's in first place, so go up.
I guess we can do a little update. I do actually. I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to throw this in because I'll tag Mark on Wednesday. But we took down Fantasyland Basketball, Mr. Mark from down under. Mark, who at the time going into the matchup was 9-1, and we proceeded to beat him by 500 points. Obviously, COVID. There's a lot of things going on with teams and guys missing players. I get it, but come on, Mark, bring it, man. Add us on Twitter for real, Mark. It was a great matchup. I'm looking forward to the probably championship rematch. Would be for the next time we see Mark. And then our Dynasty League, we can do a more in-depth, thorough fantasy basketball review maybe towards All-Star break time when we're kind of pushing for All-Star content. But had a very disappointing loss on my end this week against, I guess I've picked up another league rival. And
picking up a lot of those lately.
All good.
Really fast and furious.
Dynasty League, and
fast and
curious. Too curious. I unfortunately there's only 7 people I can create a rivalry with. So I'm already 3 down. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the year.
All right. So moving into our first segment of the day, we're here again with our friend Nick LaVere from NABL, and we're going to hop into talking about probably the hottest team in the Eastern Conference in the Chicago Bulls, Nick's hometown team. Nick, honestly, what is the excitement like in Chicago? The Bulls are good again. How's it going?
Dude, it's crazy. Especially anytime a Chicago team is good because it's such a big market, no matter what sport it is. It's always one of the hottest towns to be at, obviously. Especially it's so weird. Even when the Bulls were bad these last few years, ever since the D Rose, Jimmy Butler era was over, but people were still going to the games. They still have one of the best attendance in basketball, even when they were pathetic to watch and embarrassing to watch. But now that everybody's just talking about them now. It's not just everyone's going to the games, all the news networks out here. People are actually talking about the Bulls. Normally not the first or second team talked about in Chicago, but since that the Bulls are, as of right now, the best team in Chicago, that's all everybody's talking about. Even though the Bears suck, who cares? Now we have the Bulls. So
I'm glad Josh started with that one, because that was my favorite question. There's nothing like when I stayed in New York for a week. There's nothing like you could be in New York at 3 a.m. You could be in New York at rush hour at 8 a.m. when you get a bagel, and people are going to talk about Mets, Jets, Islanders. The list goes on, right? Every team in the town, no matter you love them or hate them, they're being talked about. And at least from social media right now, the Bulls, it's like everyone is on this train. It's like everyone's got on the train now, and if whether the train crashes or not, they're not getting off of it. Are people when you go out in the morning and go to get breakfast, are people talking about the Bulls in the city right now? They have to be, right?
Oh, absolutely they are. And you see a lot more people wearing Bulls apparel all over the place now. So even if they're not talking about them, you always see people supporting, now things like that. You see a lot of people wearing hats. Even at my job, I see a lot of people wearing Bulls gear now because they're so excited that we have not been this good in so long, ever since we made the Eastern Conference Finals that one year when Derrick Rose was the MVP. That was back in 2011. We're in 2022 now, so that's how long. The hype is really, been there. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to see how good they are. Especially, this was a whole new team, and there was a lot of question marks going in to the season from, I guess you could say, basketball analysts and other people out there saying that, this team might not gel. This team won't be able to play defense, and things like that. And as of right now, they've proven everybody wrong, so.
Yeah, they were my see it to believe it team. No disrespect. I mean, I had them in that 5. I think we both actually had them in the 5-6 number, because it was we kind of looked at the teams ahead and behind, and we're we know everything about them except for Chicago. But I'll play off of the hype that Josh brought up. I mean, we kind of, the DeMar DeRozan thing, the 2 buzzer beaters, this is really where the reason we wanted you on is that, and obviously talk NABL in a few minutes, but I mean, just talk about his impact. I mean, what, as a fan, obviously this is from a fan's perspective. So just tell me about DeMar, man. What's it been like to experience the DeMar DeRozan show, I guess?
Nah, it's been awesome, and especially the last few years, Zach LaVine was pretty much the only, I guess, thing that us Bulls fans were really watching. And now, you have a guy that's just as talented as him on the wing spot. And him, as of right now, LaVine and DeRozan are looking like those 2 are going to be all-star starters, not just to make the all-star team, the way that they're both playing at a high level right now. And, DeMar DeRozan has brought something to this city that Bulls fans haven't really seen in a long time. I could say since the Derrick Rose era and things like that. And, it's just his game overall. I feel he just makes the game so easy and so smooth for just everybody to watch. He's a mid-range specialist. He gets to his spots anytime he wants. And he's expanded to the 3-point line a lot more this year than years previous. I think a lot of people too, he's very motivated too. And a lot of these Bulls players are motivated because a lot of people have thrown him off, not saying that people thought that he was washed or anything, but people were just okay, yeah, he could average 20 points a game. We know he could do this every year, but now he's really taken that, and he's really taken being the leader of this team, his first year on the team, obviously. And he's just got everybody on board, the winning, and he's accustomed to winning. Obviously he has never won a championship, but he's had great runs in Toronto. He didn't have that many great runs in San Antonio that we all thought maybe when him and Aldridge got together. But, he's just really, really motivated this year because everyone kind of thrown him off. And a lot of people were saying that, he might have been the worst signing for the Bulls. We overpaid for him. And he heard all the talk, and, he's just eating everybody's words right now.
Yeah, I think DeMar definitely was the one that kind of came with a chip on his shoulder. Chicago. I mean, a lot of the players that have come there in the past couple of years, whether it be DeMar or Alonzo or Vooch, have kind of come with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder of people thinking they weren't as valuable anymore. There are guys that are putting up these great numbers, but are they kind of getting the wins? Are they getting that far? And they're kind of proving a lot of people wrong this year, especially in the side with DeMar. Many may have thought kind of DeMar would kind of be left behind by the game going further and further towards shooting threes, but DeMar is able to pick apart people, and he's scoring more easily because nobody's really paying attention to that mid-range shot.
Yeah, and for example, too, after the game yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw, it was like all over social media. He stayed and shot 250 free throws with his uniform still on.
I did not see that. Wow.
As I think he shot like 7 of 12 from the free throw line yesterday, and he just wasn't happy with it. So he stayed. It was all over like Chicago, like media or whatever. He stayed, and with his jersey on and everything, he shot 250 free throws after the game was over yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I love that. He's definitely been very open about obviously being from California. He's a big fan of Kobe, so I'm really glad to see that he has that mentality even this late in his career. I'll say it since you didn't. I thought you would in 5 minutes, but he definitely got snubbed from December Player of the Month, no doubt. Got snubbed. Nothing against Donovan Mitchell, nothing against. I don't even know who won it on the other side. I can't even remember now. Joel Embiid, that's who it was. Nothing against either of those guys, but he, at least the way he ended December. Obviously, this is turning into a DeMar DeRozan segment, but yeah, no, look, well deserved. I had to say it if it wasn't said. So, Josh, what are we looking at next? I think we're talking through, obviously, because the Bulls are so good. What's your favorite thing about them, player maybe that we might not, just favorite thing about them, and then in just a second we'll go over as well something that they may need to improve on if they can win a title.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this Bulls team is they just play hard. You know what I mean? On both sides of the floor. Like at one point in the season, I think they were top 10 or top 5 in both offense and defensive ratings. I don't know where they are exactly in both categories now, but everyone thought, even me, I'm like, okay, this team's going to put the ball in the hole a lot. But besides Lonzo and Caruso, we're really weak on the front line, and we're not going to be able to play any defense because, LaVine and DeRozan, like, yeah, they're great players and stuff, but they weren't really accustomed to, like, playing any defense. Like, they're not known for being good defenders and things like that, too. So I just love the heart that this team has, especially a guy like Alex Caruso. He could go out there and not even score a single point, and he can make the most impact on his team. That's something I love about him. And I like guys like Derek Jones. Like, we have a lot of guys not only that can contribute from scoring, but our bench too is really, especially Kobe White these last few games, has been on a tear. And he was injured, and he was struggling at first. He's probably hurt. He's been kind of, I don't know, on the trade talks, but there's some rumors that the Bulls were thinking about getting rid of him because Al Dasumu's really played well for us as a rookie. So no, I just love the heart of this team. And one thing to improve, I think we need to win a championship. I think we need another big besides Vooch. Maybe not a big that can obviously that has the offensive swagger like Vooch. He's been kind of inconsistent a little bit still, which is kind of concerning because we're going to really need him to be very consistent if we want to win the championship. But I think we just need we need like a rim protector big. A big that could play his role, and things like that. So it would have been like a big that kind of plays like, I don't know, like Patrick Williams, I guess. A big that could block shots, like a really play defense. Yeah. And just knows how to play his role. So I think that's what we really need.
Those are tough to come by right now. I'll give you a little bit of credit here. Just have a couple stats in front of me. They are field goal percentage. They are third in the league. They are also first in 3-point percentage as of today. And it looks like they are second in free throw percentage. So offensively, like balls going in the hole. They're clicking. I agree with you on the Vooch thing. I think we know what Vooch can be, though. That's the thing. Like, he's struggling, but like, he can get there. Like, we know it. They bought really low on him.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I just think it's because, his entire career, he's always been either a first or second scoring option. And I think this kind of reminds me of like Chris Bosh in Miami that first year when they brought the big three together. Like, Chris Bosh was a star in Toronto. He was averaging 20 and 10 in his sleep. Now, obviously, Vucevic is still getting like his rebounds and stuff a game, but he's just got to get used to being that third wheel now. And there's games that he's been really good, and there's games where he just doesn't show up to play at all, and I think he just still has to feel for the game and stuff like that. So for sure.
Yeah, they're 11th in defensive rating. So just not far out of the top 10, obviously, and offensive rating, they're top 5 team. So, hey, look, we brought you on for a reason. They're here for right now, and let's hope that they continue to play well. Obviously, Josh might not as the Hornets fan trying to fight for playing spot there, but Joshua, anything else for Nick? Anything that we had for him?
Just switching gears a little bit, but we'd love to hear about NABL. We haven't talked to you in a while about how things are going since the last time we had you on. We'd love to hear where things are at.
Yeah. I know I haven't really talked about it a whole lot, especially on like social media and stuff. I know I've been making a lot of well, not recently, but I was before. But I just kind of think I just wanted to keep everything in, because there's still a lot of, I don't want to say questions, but not a lot is a for sure thing yet. But what I'm at right now with this, I'm still in talks with a lot of different people. So I'm in talks still with Fox Sports. I'm still in talks with, and I'm still, actually going to start getting some funding. I think with the whole COVID thing going on, especially like here, for example, in Illinois, you have a mandate now. So pretty much anywhere downtown in Cook County, if you want to go to like a gym, if you want to go to a restaurant, or you want to go to an indoor event or whatever, you have to be vaxxed. And I think like that's going to cause a little bit of issues where I'm at, obviously, because the last thing I want to do, like, I want to make everybody comfortable. That's the whole thing about it. I know like everybody has their own rules, everybody has their own opinions and things like that, but I just want to, I don't know, just make sure everyone, just like it says, as comfortable as possible. So I'm starting to have talks with like grocery stores, gyms, colleges, and trying to get some funding. I've had a lot of great conversations with these people, and we're still going for it. But again, with this whole COVID thing, and more people, I guess, are getting sick right now too. So especially this is the time when everybody gets sick in this weather. So, it's kind of challenging, but I think as this year goes on and things like that, I really think I'm going to really make a lot more progress for sure.
Especially in the infancy stage of something like this, like I think 50% of just the battle with creating something like this, for people who might not know, and definitely check it out. It's NABL.net, but it's one of those things, like even just awareness of what you're trying to bring light to, right, with special needs community. I think it's definitely 50% of the battle is just trying to get the awareness and the eye on it, and then as you continue to try to build things and look, keep us updated as you keep doing things with the brand. And anytime you do something, or if you're ever like out in North Carolina and you want us to hang out and do some stuff with the NABL, let us know, man. So
yeah, absolutely. And I have a lot of I have some events actually planned, starting second semester at some small colleges around where I live, and they wanted to do like scrimmages for like get like a little tournament going of like 4 teams of like different special needs teams, and just have like a little one day, tournament and things like that, just to raise more awareness. And so to get more people to know about what NABL's all about, what we're trying to do. But for North Carolina, I have a friend that actually is going to be playing for the Charlotte, the MLS expansion team. And he's one of my good friends. So I might actually be hopefully going up there for a game sometime next year. So his name's Brad Bronicle. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him before, but I'm really good friends with him.
I've been following the Charlotte expansion team pretty close. Yeah.
Josh is
he's
definitely
he's a really good dude. And, he played on the Chicago Fire. He was a starting midfielder for a few years. And I got close with him through like social media, and he was giving us free tickets and stuff all the time. So he said, Nick, whenever you want to come out here for a game, hit me up. Like we follow each other on social media and stuff. We talk occasionally.
Well, I won't lie, Josh is definitely the more soccer versed person out of the two of us. But if there's something North Carolina loves, as a very not that many professional sports franchises here. Obviously, we have the Hurricanes in Raleigh, and we have a couple of teams in Charlotte. But there's something we love here. It's soccer. You have a professional team right down the road here in the middle of the state, and then you've obviously got the Charlotte team. So that's really dope to hear that.
Yeah, well, we're excited, Nick, with your stuff on NABL, and let everyone know where they can follow you, where they can support the cause.
Yeah, absolutely. So NABL, I have an Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page. And pretty much if you just literally just look up the National Ability Basketball League, you'll be able to find it. That's easy itself. And then I personally have my own, Twitter and Facebook. So if you just look me up, Nick LaVere, you'll be able to find me pretty easily too. And any questions that any viewers or anybody ever has, please, you can shoot all your questions. Like, don't be afraid to ask me anything, because I'm happy to, to help get more people to not only know about this, but just to have more people understand what it is that I'm trying to do and why I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time and why this should have been done a long, long time ago for these kids. So
looking forward to talking again in the future. All of the stuff will be linked. I don't first feel like I'm on a YouTube channel when I say that, but we do. If you look below where you're listening to this podcast, all of our links will be down there as well as all of his. A couple of Twitter pages, Instagram, as well as the website. It'll all be down below social media when this pod goes up as well. So pleasure having you. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much for having me. Go Bulls, baby.
We are here to talk about Panic Button. And for those that might not be able to tell or see, because again, we keep telling you, video's coming.
Insert loud alarms blaring here.
Last time I did that, I got 3 text messages from 3 different people saying never do that again. So I'm not doing that again.
Semi-loud alarms blaring here.
Yeah. We are talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. Why did it take this long? I always ask you questions. I'm just going to ask you the first
because you
thing
kept
I say
telling
about
me
this
that.
segment.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No. My first question was, why did it take this long?
She kept telling me they were going to turn it around at some point.
Okay. I also kept telling you I'm severely worried too. So one of those emotions has to outweigh the other.
Saying, eventually they're going to figure this out. Clearly they are not.
Clearly they're not.
They're
no,
not
100%.
going to figure it out.
Not
It's
happening.
LeBron. This team, for a team that has Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, looks more like that first team LeBron was with in LA. That was just LeBron and literally no one else.
It hurts.
Honestly, LeBron probably wishes he had that team back. He would have Kuz and Lonzo and Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram be balling right now.
Obviously some things basketball sense-wise don't make sense. When you look at a team and go, I'm pretty happy knowing that LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook are playing on my team. Now, if I left out entirely that, all of them were above the age of 30, and I think Anthony's 29, but regardless, all of them are basically,
details
30, right? Or I left out the year because 2021 Russell Westbrook and 2016, I'm going to throw out as a year that I believe he won MVP.
It's 2022 Russell Westbrook now.
Yeah, I know. Happy New Year, by the way, to everyone. We didn't say that, but at the end of the day, it's something you would think by now it would have clicked. Can I tell you why I'm genuinely concerned though? Because everyone was worried about offense, right? Everyone was like, "How is the Westbrook fit going to work?" I feel like that it was just a tired take. It got to a point where I was like, I'm tired of it. This take was said enough, and we understand that it's going to be a tough fit. I was bullish, and you remember this. I was bullish that the defense was a question mark coming into the season. I said that when we had Brett on. It was very clear. He described and put out in front of us the roster that we saw and how they could fit maybe in this way and how maybe they could fit in this way and how they're going to have to really stretch the three-point ability from some of these 7th, 8th man guys. He made it very clear, it's possible. This team isn't that bad defensively. I'm kind of concerned. Because if I'm concerned about defense coming to the season, and I have a lot of stats to go through, I won't go through all of them, but just defensively, they're 26th in fouls. So they're making bad decisions on the defensive end. But in result of being aggressive defensively, when you have a guy like Anthony Davis, who's always averaged a pretty high amount of fouls, by the way, that happens. I'm not stressing about the fouls because they're 7th in steals per game with 8.3. They're 5th in blocks per game with I didn't actually write the number down. I think it's 4.4. Actually, I just did those not long ago. And they're 14th in defensive rating. So they're just barely above the middle of the pack. Now, look, I don't know if you have much thoughts on the defensive side of the ball for the Los Angeles Lakers. They've only played your Hornets once, I believe. And I don't even remember who got the better of that matchup. So I couldn't care less. But offensively, it's pretty bad. It's scary. We can address it. I have them all. I have every offensive stat from NBA.com in front of me.
Defensively, I will say the Lakers are giving up 111.9 points per game, which puts them at 11th in the Western Conference in points allowed per game. And by that, I mean with first being the least amount of points allowed per game in the Western Conference. They're 11th. It's pretty low.
They have been okay. And that was kind of my point, was they've been better than I thought, because I thought they were going to be well below that. I thought they were going to be bottom 5 in the league in totality, not just the Western Conference. So I'm okay with the fact that this team defensively, championship teams don't, and by the way, we both had them in the championship against the Nets. So the Lakers, or any other team for that matter, championship teams don't get good defensively in January if they're going to improve on defense. But they're going to get better in February, March, April. Like, they're going to improve in May, even if they make the playoffs. At this rate, I'm questioning that. But yeah, no, points allowed is obviously, that's what's hurt them a lot of these small, close games where they lose to Sacramento, or they lose to Houston, or they lose to like these bottom feeder Western Conference teams, who, by the way, those two are probably ranked below them in points per game allowed. So, but seriously though, offensively, it's like nauseating to the point of like, I'm just shocked it took you this long to bring it up. Or you haven't even, like, you were so, the Russell Westbrook thing doesn't work. Tell me, is it really not working? It's not working, right? It's not his fault, but like, where are we with this? Like, I don't understand. LeBron's having to average 39 a game in like the last like 3 weeks. It's ridiculous.
I don't know if now, I mean, like, Russ isn't having a good season.
That's, yeah, no, point blank. Don't sugarcoat it.
The only person that is LeBron's having a good season. AD is when he's there.
Yep.
The rest of the team is dreadful.
That's a good word. Dreadful. I like that.
Like, other than like some fairly efficient play from DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard, who aren't taking very many shots. That's why they're so efficient. Mm-hmm. The rest of the team's just awful. Like, where does your scoring come from after that?
Well, I don't even know. That's like, so that's the scary part about how, and I'll go through a couple of these and why.
Like, with AD out, your number 3 scoring option is Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah,
your number 4 scoring option is Malik Monk.
Yeah, a guy, by the way, the Melo thing, like, I'm glad you brought that up. I told you preseason, I was hoping he would be no more than a 6-man.
Well, with AD not there, he's the 3rd scoring option. With AD
man
there, he's the 4th scoring option.
I know. He's too far along in his career to be doing that.
Yep.
We're to the point where, like, you're having to rely on a Carmelo Anthony, which, by the way, I believe he's 36. So I'm just going off of my top of my head. You can double check me. He's north of 30, or 35. I mean, he is in that number where you do not need him in January if you're a championship contender. Melo should be averaging 12 minutes a game right this moment. Now, come May, 24, 27 even.
I think he's close to 24 right now.
The Lamar Odom role of the past. I'm giving them a championship comparison team. Maybe it'll turn them around. Can I tell you before I even look, I haven't even looked at these stats. We haven't mentioned a single offensive statistic that's like, other than some players and where these players fit. Can I tell you the only bright spot I took? And this is where, look, I'm throwing the fan thing. This is me breaking down what this is, because that's what panic button is. If we were panic button the Hornets, I would hold you accountable. Same as we're holding my team accountable, clearly.
Well, I know exactly what we would talk about if we're panic button the Hornets,
but no, that's fine.
No reason to, because we're not panicking.
We're not. They're not panicking. They're going to be fine. The only good thing I took out of the research for this segment, Josh, is that we have this weird luck. Every time we throw a team in panic button, they go on a 2-week run. That is the only, no joke. No, I'm not laughing. You can laugh. But
I'm laughing because I'm just seeing you see it as that we're throwing your team a bone here.
I genuinely hope that's what this is. Because tell me right now, between now and the All-Star break, what they need. Like, look at their schedule, look at anything. Tell me right now what they can get to build momentum before All-Star break. It's panic button. It has to be at this point. Like, it's the panic button. The Hawks went on a few games. They went on a 4-game win streak the moment we put the Hawks. The Hawks were the first team this year in panic button. Right, that was the only team we've done so far. We put the Hawks in. They win 4 games and then get decimated by COVID. That makes me nervous if we're comparing the two. But no, I'm serious. Like, genuinely, I think something has to happen, and I hope at this point it's the panic button curse or the panic button resilience. I don't know what word I even want to put in there anymore. I am sick. This team, as many people have picked them to be contenders, it is sick.
So how bad does it get? You said miss the playoffs.
So I've said that for 3 weeks. The
Mhm.
reason I've said that is because, and I'll just do this now because then we can break down what we do with the Hawks, where it's like I asked you a couple of things, and the way we approach this panic button segment for those who might be new here is we look at a couple of things. Like obviously we address right up front the reason we're hitting the panic button is because these teams are bad, right? There are things that need to be talked about or addressed. The question is though, you have to look at the bright side and go, what can turn around for the team? Like what can get the team back to where, like, example, we hit the Hawks panic button last year when panic button wasn't even a segment. We like jokingly were like, oh, ha, ha, and then we actually made a segment out of it, thanks to the fact that the Atlanta Hawks almost made the finals last year. So thank you to Atlanta for creating a whole new segment for the show. We appreciate it. It was awesome. However, offensively, they are 8th in points per game with 111, 6th in field goals made with 41, 9th in field goals attempts, 8th in field goal percentage. Up front, by the way, right on the surface, we're just scratching that top 10 in every field goal percentage stat, every field goal, from inside the arc stat. Pretty good, right? Well,
inside the arc stat.
Well, let's get a little deeper. 16th in 3-point percentage with 34.9. By the way, the league average is down anyway, but still not good. But only on 34 attempts, which they are 20th in the NBA in attempts. So they clearly understand they suck at shooting threes. They aren't going to just take them. That's where we are. We knew that preseason when you were like, well, what is Wayne Ellington going to do? Shoot 7 a game at this rate? I think LeBron's going to shoot 12 a game. I think that's where we are. They are 28th in free throw percentage. So you're telling me if Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James, whoever, at this point, whoever gets fouled, they make 73% of their free throws. You are a professional basketball team full of veterans.
That's a pretty career LeBron average right there, 73%.
As a team.
Yeah, but like just as an example, like that's a pretty spot on LeBron average.
He's not taking every one of them though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying as a characterization of it, like
yeah.
I feel like that's pretty characteristic of LeBron.
11th in rebounds per game, and I think what Russell Westbrook is.
You should be high in rebounds per game. You're playing DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard on your team. You should 100%. Be grabbing boards.
I think it's deeper. I think Russell Westbrook is the reason that stat's even above 11 or even above 15. 11th in assists per game. So they are moving the ball, and I think we need to find.
Russ is top 5 in assists in the NBA, despite his, which really puts in perspective how inefficient his shooting has been, considering that he's still racking up assists.
And here's the 2 things that opened my eyes and let me see the no playoff light. They're 28th in turnovers per game. Now, when you have Russell Westbrook on your team who leads the NBA, who, by the way, leads NBA history in turnovers, look it up. Not a joke. Did not understand that when I saw that. And they are 15.2 fast break points per game. You go, well, that sounds like a little bit, right? Like, these are NBA professionals. Like the pace of the league is so high, the threes. Josh, do you have can you just make a guess where you think that ranks in the NBA?
Seems really low.
15.2. It seems really low in fast break points per game. These are NBA
what is
teams
characterized as a fast break point?
Any point in transition where a rebound, I believe, turns into a transition bucket. So, like, what you would think 15 seems kind of low, right?
Well, where does like the transition slow down?
I don't know. I don't know how the stat is. I didn't go in detail how the stat was categorized, but it is logged as a fast break point. It's just like bench point.
It feels like it would be like bottom 5. But
it is third. Third overall. They are third in the NBA. A team that has the highest aged average in January is averaging the 3rd most fast break points. Do you see the problem?
I don't understand that stat at all. That's what it really comes down to.
Even if we understood it, a 34.5-year-old age team is averaging the 3rd most fast break points in the league in January.
Yeah.
This isn't May, where we thought they would be, or June, I guess. The NBA Finals is a June event. So, now that you hear the apocalyptic Lakers offense through January 3rd, Can you give me a bright spot? Obviously we're not fans in this segment. Like as a non-Lakers fan, as a Lakers watcher, as a NBA analyst, can you give me something that tells me right now they're not getting back to where we had them in the top 3 in the West. That's not happening. My expectation is now, if you make the play-in, I am happy as a Lakers fan. Not me, but anyone.
Bright spot is LeBron is outplaying expectations.
It's not leading to wins though. The segment
it's leading to some wins. Like you're not like you're not in the bottom 5. So
I don't want to leave the segment with no hope though. Like I want people to like the segment
for it to get better. Like AD's probably going to come back as your biggest hope.
Okay, so I'm hoping a guy who's injury prone in the last 3 to 5 years is coming back. Is what you're. Yep, that's my hope right now in January.
You want it to get better. Here's what has to happen. One, AD's got to come back because he's been playing great when he's there, and the Lakers look like at least a middle of the pack playoff team with him.
Funny. Second, go ahead. You have another one. I'm good to hear this.
Second, they got to work at the trade deadline to bring in guys who can actually score.
That was one of
because relying on Carmelo Anthony and Malik Monk, even if AD comes back, if your options after those big 3, if your best options are Carmelo Anthony, a guy who was almost out of the league a few years ago, and Malik Monk, a guy who went on record this week stating that the only team in the NBA who called him at all in the offseason was the Lakers. 29 teams didn't want Malik Monk.
That's sad, by the way. I like Malik Monk.
He's your 5th scoring option.
Yeah, no, that's disappointing, but I'm a fan, and I'm disappointed that the 29 teams did not call him. Well, 28, let's say, because the Charlotte Hornets were clearly not calling him. So let's say 28 for fun, because they got rid of him. So, yeah, okay.
Got to bring in a shooter or a scorer. Preferably, you got to bring in a sharpshooter.
Both fair points.
A guy who's just a sharpshooter.
The trade deadline thing, that's clear. Like, they are going to have to be attackers because they just traded away Rondo, who, by the way, last year was very clear.
More concerning. They're acting like sellers right now.
Oh, no. This Rondo thing, like, the Cavs were more buyers, and I think Rondo understands, like, this team's not winning a championship, so Rondo wanted to go to a place where he was happier. That is where that came from. Then they proceeded. No, you're right about the seller part, though. They didn't sell Rondo. They sold Denzel Valentine, who they got back, who could be an okay bench piece for them right now with the COVID situation in the NBA. But they were like, nah, New York, you can have him for, I think it was literally cash considerations or a second-round pick. They actually never released it, which is even funnier. So clearly, Pelinka's up to something. I don't know what it is. The trade deadline thing, I agree with you. Right now, though, I don't want to go through any scenario whatsoever because it's going to make me vomit. Second of all, there's time for that because they will be making moves. We will be recapping them in some way and going, is this team any different? Here's my bright spot, and then we can move on. The teams in front of them, we're going to go ahead and assume right now are locks, right? Our Warriors, Suns, Jazz. 100%, those 3, barring a major fallout or injury, those 3 are right now the 1, 2, and 3. You can lock it in. I think so, at least. And we think we both agree. Here's where it gets fun. The Grizzlies are great, don't get me wrong, so far, 23-14, and they won a lot of games without Ja. I'm going to say right now the Grizzlies, I'm not saying they're the 4 seed, but I'm going to say right now they're in the playoffs. They're a top 6 team somehow before the end of the season. The Nuggets, Jokic is single-handedly carrying them, but Jamal Murray is coming back. So I'm going to go through the numbers here. The Nuggets in front of them, the Lakers can pass the Nuggets if they go on a hot streak. The Nuggets are going to lose stupid games. It's going to happen when you have Jokic single-handedly carrying the game. These are teams in front of them. The Clippers, Paul George just went out for 4 weeks with an elbow injury. And that team beyond that, I'm not really excited about. The Lakers are 19-19 right now at 7th in the West. They are currently right now the first team out of the playoffs for the play-in. That is promising when we are literally hitting the panic button on them, thinking they are one of the worst teams in the NBA, but yet in the West, they're 7th.
No, they're not one of the worst teams in the NBA. It's just
playing like it. They are playing like it. They are. Seriously. No, that's I'm serious. By the way, that record in the East would warrant the 11th seed. So just for what it's worth, the East is really good this year. The Mavericks
19 and 19? No, it wouldn't. It would warrant a tie for 8th.
Sorry, 8th. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the wrong team. So the Mavericks, I'm not sold on anything outside of Luka. I'm not convinced Luka's going to get them into the top 6 or even in the play at this rate. So
I think Dallas is going to start to move up when Luka comes back.
Great, but right now, this moment, he's not there.
They
I'm
looked
assuming
quite impressive
without him.
without him. Yeah.
Kristaps has been good. I think that's been the kind of wrench in this example, but still, I think the Lakers are better than the Mavericks no matter how you cut it. The Timberwolves, I think they're starting to see the fall from grace. They are 16-20. They are ninth. Obviously, they've been hit with a lot of COVID issues. They literally played Greg Monroe. That's not a diss on Greg Monroe. Shout out to Greg Monroe.
Timberwolves are about where they should be.
Give or take. With those three guys, yeah, they probably should.
Ninth, they're about where they should be.
Kings 16-22, done.
They're overplaying.
Spurs 14-21, they aren't done.
Their record looks worse than they are. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're better.
They're a better team than that record looks.
They're a better team than the Lakers. My point is, I'm giving you 7 teams that I think the Lakers can get near or above. And then the Blazers, because of the Lillard thing, Lillard's missed too much time. They're 13-22. The Blazers are out of playoffs, I think, this year. So
yeah.
I'm not even going to read the last 3 because they don't warrant being read. Sorry. But I think right now the Lakers can be better than the Clippers, Nuggets, not Grizzlies. They're too far from the Grizzlies, but Timberwolves, Kings, Spurs, and Blazers. So as of right now,
you could see 5 seed best case scenario then.
That's what I'm telling you. That's a good thing. That's in the playoffs with no play-in. You would play a Nuggets team, a Clippers team, a Mavericks team, a Timberwolves team. You would play a team that you can beat in the playoff series. 4 versus 5. Or you play Memphis or whatever. I'm just using like a future scenario. You have no idea who you play, but I'm just saying you play one of those teams that you could probably beat. So it does come to playoff seeding. That's not where that's where I'm ending it for me. That's where I'm done with it because right now it's DEFCON. I'm going to give you DEFCON 4 because I think that's how close we are to, if something doesn't happen at the deadline, I think there's a riot at crypto.com arena. And I said crypto.com arena because I can't believe we made it this long with not mentioning the disgusting name change that I think at this point is the reason for their struggles. I'm just kidding. That has nothing to do with it. But it's a disgrace that they changed the Staples Center name. That was the only thing I'm going to say as a fan the rest of the show. Any other thoughts on the Lakers, Josh? I'm literally going to grab this trash can below me and vomit. I'm done. I think I'm over with it. I'm done. I need another month.
Want to point out, one on the crypto.com arena. Can we just talk about how inherently weird it was that the most premier basketball arena in the nation is named after a paper supply company?
Yeah, it is always weird that the Staples name stuck around that long. It is interesting. They went from the Forum, which is historic.
Center.
They went from the Forum, which was historic.
Great name, yeah. To
Staples. Jack literally referred to it as the Forum in everything he ever got interviewed about the Lakers. It was great. The Forum to Staples, and it's a weird transition. But I refuse, and a lot of NBA people I talk to also refuse. So I refuse to call it crypto.com. I just want to become that eventually. The 4 seconds I wanted to give it the 4 seconds that it didn't deserve.
So the other thing is, we talked about best case scenario, how the Lakers turning around. I'm going to give you worst case scenario. Lakers missed the playoffs.
That's the thing. Yeah, we don't need worst case. We see it. Yeah. We see it now. This team is worst case
the
scenario.
The Lakers missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
If the Lakers miss the playoffs, LeBron James is a free agent at the end of this offseason. He will not be coming back if the Lakers miss the playoffs.
No,
he will not resign.
He can fly. He can fly to LA for all of his videos, commercial shoots and movie shoots.
He will go find something else. Because frankly, it's just maybe he'll go join the Nets, and it'll just be absolute ridiculousness.
I know where you're going with it, and I'm not going to entertain it because this is January. The Cleveland thing I brought up a few weeks ago or last week, where it was I
wasn't going to go that far.
We're 6 weeks away from that narrative I mentioned. Ha ha ha! Right? I haven't heard it yet. We're still in that time frame. But no, I'm not entertaining.
LeBron goes back to. I've told you before. LeBron will end up in Cleveland again, but it'll be when he buys the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I'm not entertaining it because this is the Lakers panic button segment. But yes, worst case scenario, they miss the playoffs. I don't necessarily think he leaves and miss the playoffs, but I think a lot of things change that aren't him. I think there's a lot of change.
We were given that last year. We were given we're going to make a lot of changes.
They made a lot of bad choices in those changes. Yeah. I think Pelinka loses his job.
It's just not working. I don't think it's.
I think Pelinka loses his job if they miss the playoffs. I'm dead set when I say that. I think Rob Pelinka loses his job. Period. Frank Vogel, obviously, I don't really know what they would do at that point. It's not Vogel's fault. They won. He's a good defensive coach. would be a
LeBron
casualty.
always gets scapegoated.
Yeah, but I just don't know. It's not his fault though. I'm just not sure it's his fault.
Yeah.
They're not like defensively. It's not like you saw the defensive potential of that team with Frank Vogel in the past. It's a team that was built better for Frank Vogel's system. But yeah, no, it would be a Pelinka casualty, 100%. So, shall we with the Rockets? Can we call it a drama? Is that the word we're using? I guess we've kind of elected it to be. I don't really know what else to call it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be the most interesting mid-game walkout that we would see in sports all week, but man, was I wrong about that.
Oh, you beat me to it. Oh, you beat me to it.
I really didn't think that I would see something that would possibly overshadow Kevin Porter Jr.'s mid-game leaving the locker room and driving home. But with that being said, like,
but it did.
Kevin Porter Jr. So, to report to people, Kevin Porter Jr. at halftime of the Rockets game just went home. Like, he was upset with the coaching staff. Just went home. Other things that were in that game, I believe Christian Wood refused to go into the game at some point when Stephen Silas asked him to. The Rockets' good players, like I guess what you can call their veterans. Christian Wood can be called a veteran, I think, at this point, but like Kevin Porter Jr. definitely can't be. But I guess what you can call what passes for a veteran on a Rockets team that is mostly 19 and 20-year-olds are growing, obviously frustrated as to what's going on because this team is intentionally awful. I was watching the Rockets play a couple weeks ago, and the announcers were pointing out the oldest player on the floor right now for the Houston Rockets is 20 years old.
Wow. I did not realize it was that
They
low.
are a college basketball team with a
I
couple
mean, I'd
of
love to
NBA
look up.
players.
I'd love to look up their league average of age that Brett tweeted out a few months ago because I actually don't remember where they were preseason at least. Obviously, that can change based on obviously, as you mentioned, a team full of 20-year-olds on the floor.
So since what has happened, the Rockets have suspended Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood for one game.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Christian Wood tweeted on Christmas Eve, "I love it in Houston. We gonna get back on track." But that was before the walkout.
Oh, that was like that was in pure optimism. Like he
okay.
They won.
That was before. I was thinking that he had recentered himself and playing for the Rockets. My bad. That was before. Before that blow up. That's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, that was right after they started losing again. They went on like a small win streak, and we were kind of like, "Oh, that's fun." And that was right after that. We can't talk about this though. Like the fact that we, as a podcast, who try to cover the biggest basketball stories in all of basketball, have given Kevin Porter Jr. now 2 segments in our year of doing this. One year, by the way. Yes. Do you remember
when he dropped 50 something? We gave him yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we made sure. I guess it was more positive because that. Don't get me wrong. He dropped 50, but we also addressed like it's a great sight to see from a guy who scored 50, from a guy who had locker room issues in Cleveland, who had issues in college, who had issues in high school. Like this is a clear track record. I think I told you like last time the Cleveland thing was kind of my final straw for him. If I'm Houston, like who, by the way, claims that his stuff, like his behavior issues and stuff has gotten better. I don't know how you can, like you start out the transition from Cleveland, which by the way, for those that might not know, was traded from Cleveland because his locker was moved. He had an outlash because his locker was moved.
Yeah.
And you trade him to Houston. Houston's like, okay, no worries. We want to build around you here with this young team, with these guys and that guy. And they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to draft Jalen Green and play him in front of you and technically make Kevin play point guard. By the way, Kevin's playing point guard right now. And he's been pretty good, 15-5, right? But if I'm Houston, if I'm any franchise right now, I'm good. I'll take any other G League level player who can average 15-ish, I guess, if you play on a team like this on the floor. I'm just not sure. I don't want him on my team anymore. Clearly, like I think I'm to the point where that's where it is. Christian Wood, it was a backlash of something completely different, where Silas like just benched him because of his effort. which is, I mean, Christian Wood's never been that kind of player. That's what got him the contract from Detroit to Houston. So I'm just not sure where that even came from. But then again, I can't, Coach Silas has been around the league a long time, so I can't really question that. But yeah, I don't know. The Kevin Porter thing, it's more of an eye-opening or an eyesore than I think we even originally thought.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, from my perspective, this was like an overreaction segment. I'm not like overreacting about this whole thing from Wood and Porter. When a team is playing this poorly, I would want my players to get frustrated. Now, maybe not like physical altercation with coaches frustrated, but I'd want them to care. And so if I'm the Rockets, I'm at least glad from Porter to see that he cares. He's having a bit of a down year. His field goal percentage is remarkably lower this season. He's probably taking more shots because this team's not very good. But he's 21. Like, someone's going to take another shot on him if he leaves the Rockets. If that even happens, maybe they smooth things over. They obviously want to. They didn't kick him off the team for leaving at halftime.
Well, according to the Woj and Tim McMahon article today, Silas quote they have quote smooth things over. He's emotional. He's a competitor. He's a good kid. He owns up to his mistakes when he makes them and tries not to make mistakes again. We've heard that 3 times in his career at least. I'm just I agree with you. I don't it is a bit of a reaction on my part, but I'm not just looking at the last 3 months or whatever. I'm looking, yes, this team's frustrating or frustrated because they, quite frankly, they stink. But you can't get it out of he's not the leader of the team. He's not a leader. He's 21 years old. He's a guy that right now needs to play his best ball because Houston is not his final destination. He will be ultimately playing for a contract that somebody's going to give him. If he plays 15-5, someone's going to give you $8 million a year for 15-5. But right now, when they look at 15-5 and they go, I can get 15-5 out of that guy that's never had any locker room issues, they're probably going to give it to that guy. And that's not necessarily, I'm not overreacting, but that's what I'm saying as a comparison, is you shouldn't get that out of your 21-year-old. Jalen Green's not doing that. Obviously, he's a rookie. That's not a great example, but none of your other guys are doing that. Christian Wood, it's the effort thing. He was being questioned by the coach. So yeah, this team is frustrated all around. I would be frustrated too. I agree with you. I want my guys to be fired up about not winning games. You want them to win games, but when you have a roster like this, it's the Oklahoma City. You don't hear this in Oklahoma City. Now, granted, I get Shea and Jalen Green are on 2 different stratospheres right now in their careers. That might change, but Shea and Giddey. Right, Giddey just had the youngest triple-double in NBA history the other day, and Shea's calling him Troy Bolton from High School Musical. And they got this chemistry going, and it's the funniest thing. And they've been decimated with COVID, and they're still winning games. And their team was already bad before that. So, I'm not giving them this, this team sucks excuse, because they have better players than some of these other crap teams. I like Christian Wood. I like Kevin Porter Jr. Obviously, John Wall, the situation with the contract and him not moving, that's a problem. But
forgot John Wall was still there.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking about if we were doing a draft of current, all-time bad contracts, he's number 1 on that list. But yeah, no, this team, don't get me wrong, they're not great, but they have better players than some other teams that are performing way better than them. So I'm disappointed in Kevin Porter Jr. and I'm quite frankly, I hope it doesn't get any worse than this. So
good luck, Houston. So Draymond Green was back in the news again this week. That should be a segment. So Draymond Green was in the news this week.
Well, it's weird because he's in the news. It's a great tagline, by the way. He's in the news, and yet they're second in the West. Well, first actually, technically, because they beat Phoenix. Yeah, so they're first in the West right now, 28-7, and Draymond Green is in the news for a bad thing.
Draymond Green went off on the NBA about after the NBA postponed the Warriors-Nuggets game last week. Draymond Green was quite upset that the Nuggets were allowed to have a game postponed when the Warriors had to play on with several COVID casualties, I guess, as I'll say, and lost a game due to a shortened team because of COVID. And of course, the NBA has set out their rules that they are going to have games continue to play unless a certain number of players are out and team cannot play. To be honest, I am a little confused about the rules as much as probably Draymond Green is. But I mean, he really just came for the league again, which he's no stranger to doing, obviously.
As crazy as this is going to sound, because the listeners aren't going to know my NBA takes and history and what my opinions have been over the last 5 to 10 years, because I've only been doing this pod for a year. But you, as a friend of mine, like, I am understanding that Draymond Green is an all-time great player. That is not what we're debating today. That is not what we're talking about. However, I have never been a fan of Draymond Green. And I'm actually really on board with everything he said. And I'm kind of okay with everything he said, because the league needs to be held accountable, because ultimately the people who pay his paycheck, and if he gets hurt because of the situation, because Denver plays him at full strength and then they're having issues. And I get where he's coming from. I don't necessarily fully agree with everything he said, but I do.
No, he was saying Denver needed to have to play.
Oh yeah, no,
he was upset that
right,
Denver was allowed to push the game off because they were having COVID problems, but the Warriors had to play on.
Well, so, and the reason
Denver had more COVID problems, to just make it clear to everyone.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't, at that point it's a game of straws. But his final tweet is what I kind of like really resonated with, is because he made a point where we're trying to, this is a normal 82 game regular season. Now, granted, this is January, late December, whatever it may be. But he goes, not to mention, this will more than likely add a back-to-back to our schedule, which is also advantage Denver. So it's just an inconsistency problem in the NBA. There's not necessarily a fix. He's just doing what technically, did he get fined? Do we even know if he got fined for this?
I don't think they can fine him for that. I
don't think they can either.
Speaking his mind.
I mean, he's calling out his employer. So, I mean, if I call out my boss at my job, I'm sure that there's some repercussion there. I'm not going to get fined, whatever the equivalent would be.
Yeah, but the power dynamic's a little different in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I want to understand before I say, like, what I was going to say is, like, did he get fined? Look, I'm all for it. You have the voice to do it. It's just like social justice stuff for the NBA players. They have the voice to do it. Do it. Obviously, if there's some constructive criticism there, good. It needed to be said. The NBA needs to be consistent. They've obviously re-released all of the reschedules or postponements. They called them postponements, not cancellations. They were very clear about that in the press release. They came out today. So they were able to move schedules. And yes, a lot of teams, unfortunately, like the Bulls, will have a lot of back-to-backs in March. And I'm not sure if you're the Bulls, you want to play a lot of back-to-backs in March because of COVID cancellations.
I don't think anybody's had as many COVID problems as the Chicago Bulls.
And their repercussion for that, or consequence, if you must, is playing back-to-backs in March. Go look at their schedule. It's disgusting. They're going to play a ton of games after the All-Star break, multiple nights. Like, they're going to go to Milwaukee. They're going to go to Indiana. They're going to come home in 2 days and play at home twice. It's like, it's not fair for anybody. Obviously, it's not a problem the NBA can prevent necessarily, where it's like, we talked about this and that and season this, cancellation that, but
only they'd gone on pause 2 weeks ago. Who could have seen the necessity for that?
Yeah, right. I know what you're thinking, but look, I'm at the end of the day, Draymond did what he felt like he had to do. He's on the best team in the West, quite frankly, the best team in the NBA record-wise, and he has the voice to do it. I'm glad he did it.
He's calling out a problem that the NBA is very aware is there. It's just, like you said, there's no fix to this problem.
It's the inconsistency factor. I think that's what he's frustrated about.
Yeah, and it's because of how confusing the what is postponed and what's not for the inconsistency. They have a rule, but like I cannot explain to you very clearly what that rule is because I barely understand it. I don't know where the cutoff is. And obviously, Draymond doesn't. I bet the players often don't either.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you pick a side and you don't straddle the fence. That's exactly what he said in quotes. And I just, look, it's a work in progress. If we're going to make it to June, something like they've changed the guideline the day that the CDC changed the federal guideline for the United States population. So I'm sure that was not by accident the more I think about that now. But at the end of the day, like, there's no fix. I'm not like going to sit here and tell you that there's a fix. And it's just, it's little things like this that may be accountability concerns. And that's why I'm just glad that this is not something I'm glad, because it beyond the fact that if it was a COVID problem, like, he's going to in the future speak up about accountability issues. And I'm okay with that. Trivia, as I signed off with last week. I'm Trevor, and I'm down 5-2. And a week later, I'm still down 5-2. So Josh, because he gave me a 3-point opportunity that I completely and utterly botched, without failure, are here to try to give you a 3-point opportunity because that's the fair thing to do. So I'm going to not sugarcoat this or not take any longer because we've added an extra segment, of course, this episode. We've had a guest and we've had some betting button. We've had a lot of marquee segments here. So, Josh, we are talking about the Houston Rockets in trivia today.
Oh, boy.
All right. If you're like, well, duh. Like,
we have a question.
We do. So you actually mentioned, got a lot of young players. Right now, the franchise isn't exactly looking very, let's say, promising or, fun. I mean, you got Jalen Green. You've got guys that have been fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. However, because I'll just be upfront with you both, you and the listeners, I struggled with the question this week. The Houston Rockets are a topical team because of the drama, and they are bad. So we're going to highlight some good for Rockets fans out there. So you are going to name the top scorers in Rockets history based on points per game, because that's what I could come up with because I was frustrated with the question this week. Couldn't figure out a good
question.
Yeah.
Multiple questions. I'm assuming there's like a threshold for how many games must have been played to.
There are not.
No.
So
the second question is this just their time in Houston? Or is it their whole careers?
It looks like it's just their time in Houston.
Okay, good. So is their whole careers, that would be frankly awful.
No. This is not as hard as it sounds, but it's also, I had to give you some form of difficulty.
Yeah.
Because you're up 5-2. So that being said.
So the last thing was it's points per game, not total points.
Points per game, because unfortunately, to our friends at StatMuse, I couldn't find their total points on their website.
Total points would have been a lot more difficult.
I agree.
Yeah.
Until I saw this list. Are you ready to begin?
You're just trying to fake me out.
I'm not.
Okay.
All right. In points per game, you can begin.
Wait, so it's the top 10?
Oh, no, it's all time. And if you get, sorry, I forgot to go through the scoring system.
What is
Sorry, this is the top 25 on this list in front of me. It's the same format that we did last time with top 25, I believe. I did. It was 7. I think it was 7, 14, and 25 is how I did it with 30 guesses. We're going to just do the same format because it worked. And good luck.
Okay. James Harden.
Number 1, James Harden is number 1. We're not going to, this segment's already going to take longer than I wanted it to. So
Russell Westbrook.
We're going to make this quick. Yes. They both, are on this list. James Harden is number 1. Do you care about the points per game? Does it matter?
Not really.
Okay. James Harden is first and Russell Westbrook is second. Next.
Yao Ming.
That's a great guess. Yao Ming is on this list. I have to find him. He is 10th.
Okay. I was getting worried that Yao was somehow not on there.
No, he was. I just had to
go with his teammate, T-Mac, Tracy McGrady.
Tracy McGrady is a great guess, and he is 8th.
All right. Let's go greatest Rocket ever, Hakeem the Dream, Olajuwon.
That's a lovely guess. Where did you get that from? Hakeem Olajuwon, 23.2 for what it's worth. He is 4th.
Okay. So I've got 5 done.
Yeah.
Now that's where it gets a little harder.
Yeah, it does. This is one of those questions, by the way. I know I said I didn't want to delay this, but this is one of those questions where I told you I look forward to reading the answers you don't get more than I do the question itself. And this is one of those. I'm very excited. You have not missed one, by the way, for what it's worth.
Was Clyde Drexler a Rocket? I think he was.
He was.
Clyde Drexler.
He was in the end of his career, or kind of like somewhere back then. He is far down this list, but he is on this list. I will figure it out while you're guessing your next one.
So that's right. Okay.
Correct.
Am I allowed to look up if a player played for the Rockets?
You can ask me.
Did Allen Iverson play for the Rockets?
I don't think so, and I'll be honest with you. I'll give you that he's not on this list. I'm not going to count that as a point because he was not. He probably it's not just it would not shock me if he did at this point. But no, that's no. I love as much as I love Allen Iverson. No, I don't believe he played for the Rockets.
I started out so confident. Now we're here.
Yeah, you technically don't even have a point. Just
no, I don't. I need one more to get a point. How old are the Houston Rockets?
It's a great question.
But no, the highest scores will be more recent.
I love this because it's like points per game, but with no number of games, by the way, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
It's the most unstat muse thing ever because they normally do a minimum of X, Y, and Z amount, which is, I think, so funny to me. Hey, I don't make the rules. So technically I make the rules.
Yeah, you do.
Unfortunately for you, I don't make the rules in this case. I don't feel good giving you a hint because there's multiple Hall of Famers on this list.
Mm.
As sad as that is. There are also multiple
there
are also multiple guys that are like, I mean, these are Rockets greats, I would call them. A couple of them.
Issues, I doubt there are very many current Rocket. Well, Christian Wood. We'll throw Christian Wood out there and say that he's
there's a good 25. One. That's the one that got you the point. Christian Wood, of all people.
Let's say he's cracked it in his time.
Christian Wood was, Yao was 10, so Christian was 13th.
6 points for Josh.
But yeah, at this point, I told Grayson the other day, I'm spent my New Year's with Grayson. That was fun. Not looking forward to the fact that I might not even have a chance in the trivia finale. So
maybe I'll just have to sit there and not play in the trivia finale.
Yeah, no, at this point,
see if you can catch me.
It's all right. We'll see. That would actually be a fun way to do it. Just you make the questions as hard as you want, and then no, actually, we would not do that. That would be very unfair. We always need a mediator for the finale. That's the thing. I could see the stuck like.
And by
the way,
Moses Malone ever play for the Rockets?
He did.
Moses Malone.
He was third. Yeah,
I couldn't remember exactly what team he played for. I feel like a Malone played for the Rockets. I'm like, it's not Carl, so it's got to be Moses.
Yeah, Carl, I believe, did actually. Well, no, he played for the Lakers for a little bit, but Charles, I believe, was the power forward I'm thinking of. And no, he's not on this list. That's why I said his name. Good catch on me there. I'm really actually kind of glad he's not. That was at the tail end of his career, so he did not play.
Did Stephon Marbury ever play for the Rockets?
At this point, I'm not giving you any did they play for the Rockets help anymore because you've already got at least 1 point. But I'm pretty sure
not allowed to ask if the player played for them anymore.
Pretty sure he did. No, I'm pretty sure he did, which is why I'm not giving you because I'm pretty sure he did. 30. Yeah, you 30.
Can I look up if he ever played for the Rockets?
He did. I'm 99% sure he did. He played for the Knicks and the Rockets, at least.
Stephon Marbury.
Now look up if he did or not, because I have no idea. I believe Starbury, by the way.
I think he played for the Rockets. I think the Rockets is who he played for before he played for the Knicks.
Yeah. Starbury is not Starbury, people call him, is not correct. We're coming up on one of the.
Not correct because he never played for the Rockets. So.
Oh darn! That's darn. That it is what it is.
A little gamesmanship here.
Yeah. You're up 6-3. I'm okay. I'm okay with you getting one wrong.
6-2. You have 2. You don't have 3.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I feel even better about that. That's okay. Also, Google does like people also search for and put Rockets there. That's why I was like, don't Google that. Well, he didn't play there, so they're not going to put other Rockets there. Oh, that's a good one. It's
a shout out a player that I like that played for the Rockets.
No,
I don't think he's in the top 25.
Not a shot.
I did. I want to make it clear. I did not think Kenny Smith was in the top 25. I'm just throwing.
We just got to get content rolling, and you can still get to 14. So that's why I'm glad you made that guess.
Oh, Chris Paul.
Chris Paul was 23rd.
I forgot that little bit of time he played in Houston. But I mean, it was clicking in my head. I'm like, I can see him in a Rockets jersey. He was traded for Russ. That's how the whole thing worked out.
Yep. He was 23rd.
It's 9 right. I have to get 5 more. I don't think I'm getting 5 more.
You can concede at any point because I'm not going to sit here for the sake of this segment, Lath. I am not going to sit here and let you guess that many. If you're
going to start shouting random things. Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq never once played a minute for the.
That doesn't start shouting random things. Vince Carter, pretty sure he also never played for the Rockets, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway.
No, neither of them did.
Don't look at me like they didn't play for every team in the league.
It's Carter and Shaq. Okay, love it. Next, Rockets fans are losing their mind right now. That's
Don't look at
hilarious.
me like those 2 players didn't hop around.
I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now, and I'm not gonna, but I can tell you right now the order Shaq played in the teams that he did.
I can probably get close.
I can tell you the teams in the order.
Orlando, LA.
It'd probably take
Miami,
years too. That's where it gets weird.
Phoenix,
Where did he go? Nope.
Boston.
Went to Cleveland first before he went
Cleveland, to Phoenix, Boston.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And you said Shaq. Just keep guessing. I can't wait to read this list. You're gonna like A, slap yourself in the face, and B, laugh your butt off. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. Looking forward to it.
Some bums on this list is what's
crazy. There are some buns on this list. it's okay. There are some players we should also get to.
Between Yao and when James Harden went to the Rockets, it's a big period of time.
There's a handful of those guys in there for sure. Yeah.
And I can't remember anyone who played on those Rockets teams.
I can't wait to read this list from one. I'm reading it from 125. I hope you understand that. I'm going to make you
I just
hear the atrocity.
Think of anyone who played in that time.
Look, you're up 6-2. You can tap out at any moment and take your victory lap because you're going to need 5 more. And and total
Eric
points would have
Gordon.
been easier. That's a great guess. Eric Gordon is not correct. You made
Trevor
14.
Ariza.
You made 14 guesses, now 15. That is not correct as well.
PJ Tucker.
That's also not correct. I think that was obvious. PJ Tucker, I believe, is a career 6.5 point per game average. I don't think his Rockets days were above. By the way,
Evans.
Oh, I don't think he played there either. This is going to turning into my favorite segment where we name players that didn't play for a team at all. Can I tell you that? Not that it helps you, but I'm just going to tell you anyway. The lowest points per game, it starts at 17 and goes up. Okay. That didn't help. It was just hey, by the way. It
didn't help me supremely.
By the way, just for what it's worth. I don't even know if you can get 2 points at this point. So if I figure out that you don't, we're ending the segment. James Harden, Russ.
I had 30 guesses. There's no way that I've gotten 15 wrong.
You guessed 17 people.
Yeah, and I got 9 right.
And you got 1.
Got 13 more guesses to get 5.
Josh, let's just speed it up. I gotta add music. I gotta add
Carmelo Anthony.
Did he play there?
Yeah,
That's a good
he
question.
did.
Oh wow.
I think he was bad. I'm just throwing it. Yeah. Pretty certain Carmelo played there.
I will say there are 2 Rockets greats.
Oh,
and one that
I'm starting to latch on to
get.
Was Montrezl Harrell one of the ones?
He was not.
Dang it.
It's a good guess.
Because for a period of time, I'm starting to remember who was on that team. I called them the Houston Clippers because the Clippers' whole team got traded.
Yeah.
To the Rockets, basically. So all of those Clippers guys that were on that big run.
I'll tell you the truth. I have no hints for you because I genuinely don't. I have zero faith in you the rest of this segment. This is my plea for you to tap out.
You have zero faith in me the rest of the segment?
Zero. Like I would have gotten 7 and tapped out. Genuinely.
Keep going. The more you ask me, I'm just going to keep plugging.
Hey, the faster you get through guesses, the faster or less I have to edit. Hey, more content for the listeners, I guess. Right?
It's not. Montrez is not.
You really think Montrezl Harrell averaged 17 points a game at one point on the Rockets? I don't think he's averaged that on any team. This is my point. There's like 2 guys where I'm like, you're going to be like, dang, I should have gotten that. That's it.
There are 2 Hall of Famers. I'm going to be like, dang, should have gotten. Yeah, they're probably
One of them
Hall of
for
Famers.
sure.
I'm just not like,
One of them for sure. Like, you got the Malone piece of one of them. There's another one that I would, in my head, tie to Malone. He played on another franchise. He played for the Bullets as well. I'll give you one hint for the guy that you should get, the Hall of Famer. He also played for the Bullets. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for understanding that this is a lost cause for the next.
my knowledge of that period of time is just not, frankly, that great.
What it should be. What do you think it
Yeah,
might be?
it's not what it should be. I'll be honest on that.
The 70s is arguably the worst era in all of sports for a decade. I'll say that with confidence. The Lakers were bad.
I keep trying to just name these
Rockets were okay.
mid-2000s guys.
Like, your best team in the 70s legitimately was like a Bill Walton Blazers team.
Just throw DeAndre Jordan out there. See if any lands.
Okay, can we? You're naming DeAndre. We've got it. This has got to be like where you're like, this man has no more breath left. Like, where do you call it? Time of death 9:49 p.m. Monday, January 3rd. Like this.
Oh no, I'm gonna keep plugging, man.
Please just get it over with. Gosh, I'm writing Jordan.
While we're waiting, maybe you should go check your fantasy lineup and see that you don't have Steph Curry in.
Oh, dang it. It's all right. Okay. He's got to be scoring like 75 points.
No, he doesn't start for another 10 minutes. He's still got time.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate
it.
Yeah,
you left most of your, by the way, you left most of your team on the bench.
Oh, well, it was the last week I was trying to beat what's going. Now it doesn't really matter because I'm just trying to get a better draft pick at this point. Oh, just kidding. I traded my draft pick. Yeah, it is what it is.
Trying to give Mason a better draft pick.
It happens. Oh, darn. Yeah, congrats, Sammy. Oh, wow. Kyle Kuzma for like the fourth game in a row had 62 points on my bench.
Yep.
Oh, shout out to Kyle Kuzma.
And
it will not let me swap Steph in for someone. Yes, it will. Just kidding. Thank you, sir.
Monta Ellis.
Monta Ellis is not correct. I'm not even looking at this list anymore because I don't think he's right.
At least look on the list.
Oh, no, he's not there.
Okay.
He's not. I look.
How many guesses I got left?
I don't know. And quite frankly, don't care.
Let's just say I've got, okay. Let's just say I've got 8 guesses left to get 5. So if I miss 4 more, I don't know at this point.
You have 9 more guesses, as much as that pains me to say. I'm going to make you edit this podcast. For the listeners, I edit the show. And we still have a segment. We're recording this. People don't care. They're this far. They love this segment. We're recording the Nick segment a day after all of this stuff. We are at 58 minutes. The Nick, Bull segment with Nick LaVere. We are at 58 minutes without Nick, without the Bulls. Josh is single-handedly killing the reason this show goes out a day later than it should. Just y'all remember that. Remember that when you vote at the end of next year for who your favorite host is. Remember that. Remember this segment. You started this year out on a great note on my ballot. Got it.
Down 4 points, and now you're getting petty.
I'm angry. I want to read you this list because you're going to love it. For the sake of this list, you're going to love this. I'm excited. I'm trying to think of any guy that you might say to be like, no, he's not on there, to get it out of your head. But
David Lee.
No.
Because I said it last week. Johnny Flynn.
No.
Richard Lewis.
I hate you with every ounce of my body because I'm gonna have to edit. I'm gonna cut all of this out. I hope you know that.
Richard Lewis.
No. You have 6.
So if I miss 1 more, then I'm done.
Yes. Thank you. Thank the Lord. Yes.
Hamidou Diallo.
Oh, look, we're done. I'm not even gonna write it down. All right, we're done. All right, at number 1 was James Harden. You got it correct. Congratulations on your point. I would have been severely disappointed. With 316 games played, James Harden, 30 points per game. Russell Westbrook was second with 30 games played and 27 points. So, I mean, good on you. You got a guy who played 30 games. Moses Malone was third with 24 points. I'm not going to read the points for everybody. Hakeem, was fourth. You got the top 4. Congratulations. This is officially where it gets weird. There are guys on this list before Hall of Famers. Love it. At 5th all time in points per game in Rockets history is Kevin Martin.
Never would have guessed that.
No, because at 6 is Victor Oladipo.
When did Depot play for the Rockets?
11 games before he went to the in that part with the Pacers deal, the 4-teamer for Harden.
11. Oh, that's right. He was there for a cup of coffee.
All right. After Victor Oladipo had his cup of coffee in Houston, like he said, John Wall, who played 24 games, was, I believe, we're now to 7th because your buddy T-Mac was 8th.
We should have said John Wall.
Yeah, John, 24 games, man. You should have got it. This is the reason I wanted to do this whole list. I opened this list earlier today, and I went, this guy is why we're doing this list. And then it got better. At 9th, ahead of Hall of Famer. Actually, I don't know if Yao Ming's Hall of Famer, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Ahead of Hall of Famer and Rocket great, all-time great, top 3 Rocket all-time Yao Ming is Kelly Olynyk.
How many games did Olynyk play within Houston?
14. He played less than Victor did. Or sorry, more than Victor did. All right. The guy I'm genuinely.
There is nothing in my memory that remembers Kelly Olynyk playing in Houston.
Me neither. It's okay.
Don't remember it at all.
Just behind Yao at 11 was Elvin Hayes. That was the Bullet that was also a great Rocket. His career was basically split in two between the Bullets and the Rockets. I believe he won a title in Washington and did really well early in his career in Houston. I think he actually also played part of it in San Diego, technically, for what it's worth. Don Kojic has played 101 games. I believe he probably played a long time ago.
You can't even pronounce it.
They, for what it's worth, the only stats listed for him are points, field goals, because other stats, I guess, weren't recorded back then. Elvin Hayes also listed rebounds only other than points. So that's interesting. Christian Wood, you got correct. Ralph Sampson, I'm disappointed in you.
Oh, man, yeah.
Steve
I didn't know he
Francis.
played for the Rockets.
Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury's cousin, who is more famous on the Rockets than Stephon Marbury is, clearly. Steve Francis was the all-time Rocket, not Marbury. Good job there. Clyde Drexler, you got him.
The Glide.
16th is where we are somehow. It gets weirder. Rudy Tomjanovich, I'm disappointed in you because you like Rudy because of that.
Gummit. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here.
That's like one of your favorite, like, weird. If we had to give people like our names that we like of all time, that's one of yours.
I blanked on Rudy T, dude.
The other all-time Rocket, Calvin Murphy. He was basically the most relevant player in the 70s that played in the Western Conference. Calvin Murphy played 480 games.
Not claiming to have any 70s knowledge.
Katino Mobley, name that you would recognize if you saw his face, except on StatMuse, his face is not listed at all. He played 223 games, which is actually a pretty good Rocket. Katino Mobley, yeah, it's a name that NBA fans probably should know. Jalen Green has made this list with 10 games played.
Now I'm angry.
Jimmy Walker, another guy that only recorded certain stats because he played so long ago. And the last 4, Garrison Matthews. With 8 games played, they averaged 17.4. Garrison
I hate you.
Matthews. Oh, no, it gets better, Josh. Oh, it gets better. Oh, there's 3 people left, and you got one of them already. Chris Paul was 23rd, as I said. I'm going to read you 24 first, even though I think it's worse to hear. Does the name Kyrie Thomas mean anything to you?
No.
Played for the Pistons for a little while.
I recognize it, but it means nothing to me.
He played 1 game.
Oh, God.
And he scored 17.
How did he play 1 game with the Rockets?
Don't care. He played 1 game. He's on this list. He deserves to be mentioned. And at 25, the reason this list is hilarious to end with, not 24th is to hit Kyrie Thomas, but 25 is Meta Sandiford Artest, who played 36 games for the Houston Rockets. Oh, God. Ron Artest I found a way to make his way back to this show. The last time Ron Artest, Josh has walked off, so I am officially ending the show because we are at an hour without the Bull segment being put back into the show when we record it tomorrow. This has been the 2-Pointers podcast. Josh is now somehow up 6-2 after this dreadful question. And I feel like we're even now. And if Josh, you start giving me 1-point questions, I'm not going to be disappointed. But this has been the 2-Pointers podcast. I'm Trevor. I'm going to edit in Josh saying, I'm Josh. And in my best Josh impersonation, we will see you soon. Maybe, if Josh actually comes back to the show. Goodbye.